Welcome to this Power Up webinar, taking a look at media asset management. My name is Larry Jordan, and I am delighted to have you with us. There is a lot of stuff I want to cover today, but it breaks into three sections. We'll do an overview of media asset management, what it is, what you need, and questions to ask when you're looking to buy one for yourself. Then we'll look at how media is tracked inside our three favorite NLEs, Final Cut, Premiere, and Resolve, looking at both how they do it and the limitations to what they can't do. Then we'll take an in-depth tour of Axle.AI, which is software that I use for my own media management. I want to show you how it works and how you can put it to work for yourself. Let's get ourselves started with looking at media asset management. Basically, if you can't find it, you don't have it. That's the absolute rule. You can have all kinds of the world's best shots, but if you can't find them when you need them, it's as though you don't have them at all. And that is the core task of any media asset management system. It must make it fast and easy for you to find exactly the media you need for your project, then move that media into your NLE. Now, there's a lot of bells and whistles that can be added to that. But finding what you need when you need it and moving it where you need it is the absolute core function that any media asset management must provide. More specifically, it must import media without changing its location, tag, label, or categorize all the media that it's tracking, find media using a variety of search criteria with an interface that doesn't get in the way, connect the selected media with your NLE, and optionally support both single users and work groups. Obviously, if you're a single user, you don't need all the power a multi-user media asset manager provides, but as soon as you have an assistant, having a multi-user MAM makes a big difference in organizing and finding your media. If we take a look at how NLEs manage media, we'll start with Final Cut. Final Cut imports all native metadata associated with a clip in the folder that contains the clip. It groups media into events. It groups media by date shot and other user-entered criteria. It adds custom metadata into existing fields in all selected clips. This is a really cool function. If I select, say, 50 clips, and I enter that they're all for scene 23, as long as the clips are selected, anything I enter in a metadata field is automatically entered into all 50 of those clips. This makes it a lot easier to be able to group clips and enter the same metadata in all clips at the same time. We see this inside Final Cut and Premiere and Resolve. We can assign keywords or favorites by clip or a range within a clip. And we can search on keywords, favorites, and all metadata. The limitations to Final Cut, though, are that it is not multi-user. You can't have an editor and an assistant editor working in the same project or library at the same time. It only searches media in open libraries. It can't search media stored inside other libraries. It can't search media not imported into a Final Cut library. It can't nest events, metadata fields cannot be customized, and it has very limited remote access. Turning now to Premiere Pro, we can import all native metadata associated with a clip in the folder. We can group media into bins and nest bins inside bins. We can group clips by custom color or name. We can add custom metadata into existing fields in all selected clips. This is exactly the same thing as Final Cut. Select multiple clips, and when you change the metadata in one of the selected clips, it's updated in all the clips. And we can search on the file name, metadata, and custom color. But it's not multi-user. We can't have the editor and assistant editor in the same project at the same time. It only searches on media in the active project. It can't search media in other projects even if the project is open. It can't search media not imported into an active project, and metadata fields cannot be customized or added. And like Final Cut, it has very limited remote access. Turning our attention to Resolve, we can import all native metadata associated with a clip in the folder. We can group media into bins and nest bins inside bins. We can apply custom colors and flags. We can group media by name, colors, flags, and metadata. And potentially it provides multi-user access. But It only searches media in open projects, can't search media stored in other projects, can't search media not imported into a project, metadata fields cannot be customized or added, and it has very limited remote access. None of these are bad. It's just the way the software is designed. They're designed to be video and audio editors. They're not designed to be libraries. Because of that, we often need to extend the features that are inside the NLE using a media asset manager. The big problem with most media management software is that in order to find stuff, we first need to label it. And this manual process of entering metadata can be extremely time-consuming, but necessary if you need to find the shot you want. So why use a media asset manager? Well, when there is more than one person who needs to find stuff, when you need to find media that isn't stored in your current project like historical footage, when you need to find something specific in the media, when you need to access media storage remotely, when media spans multiple storage volumes, or when you don't have time to precisely label everything. I'm demoing Axle.AI today, but there's lots of different MAMs that are out there, both for single users and small groups and large enterprises. Regardless of whether you're a single person or a large company, there are several questions you need to ask when you're buying a MAM. And the first is, does it work on my system? Because not all do. Does it support my NLE? Because not all do. How do I import, organize, and export media? Does it work locally or require a server? And if it requires a server, where is that server located? Does it require storing my media in the cloud? And if it does, what security does it provide? And whatever answer they give you, be very, very skeptical. Storing media in the cloud is not as secure in any way, shape, or form as storing media locally. What does it require to access AI tools? Is the AI training on my media, and are they sharing that training with others? Or is that AI training just for my media? Finally, how do I keep my media secure and private? Now, many of the projects we work on, if the world finds out about them, nothing bad is going to happen. But for other projects, security is critical. And you've got to be really, really clear as to who has access, how private your media is, how likely it is to get outside of your control. Because all you have to do is have the wrong file get loose at the wrong time, and life becomes very difficult. I've talked a little bit about what media asset management is. Let me give an example of one that I use, which is Axle.AI. A couple of disclaimers. I purchased Axle back in 2014, and I use it weekly to support a 100,000 image, document, and video database that's accessible worldwide to my extended family. Also, a year ago, Axle.AI acquired my company as an independent division of Axle. So I've sort of got a vested interest in Axle, which I want to have you be aware of. This is the server I'm using for today's demo. It's an M4 Pro Mac Mini, 48 gig of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage, 10 gigabit Ethernet, CPU with 8 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, 16 GPU cores, and 16 neural engine cores. This is perfectly fine for a system of whatever depth you need. It'll handle terabytes with no problem. You need more powerful computer if you have more users. So handling 20 users, this Mac Mini would be perfect. Handling 200, you'd probably need a bigger, more powerful server. So the power of the server is not based upon how many clips, nor is it based upon how much storage in terms of terabytes, but the number of users. What is Axle.AI? It is a multi-user media database designed for work groups. All media is stored locally and accessed via a browser connecting to a server which is either on a local network or on the web. No cloud or special app is needed. Axle makes a variety of related software, which I'm not demoing today. There's Connector, which is a workflow engine to automate media handling processes. If you have a lot of media that you're uploading or transferring from an old MAM to a new MAM, Connector can automate that whole process and do a lot of automated metadata processing. Dashboard provides web-based graphical view of your system status. It's customized to your particular needs. Catapult offers low-cost file delivery for file transfers. And AI Cloud is a cloud-based, simple, AI-based video management system. And there are also extensions for Adobe applications. I'll be showing the extension for Premiere Pro today. So what are the advantages of Axle.AI? Remember, it builds on top of all of the features that are already in existence in your NLE. First, it is inherently multi-user, a minimum of 2 users, a maximum of however many you want. It supports Mac, Windows, and Linux. It's accessed via a web browser, supports millions of assets. I plead guilty to this. Back years and years ago, when Axle was relatively new, I was just in the process of beginning my image library, which now has about 100,000 assets in it. But I screwed up, and I imported the same assets over and over and over again as I was learning the software. And I suddenly had over 1 million assets stored inside Axle and brought it to its knees. Since then, just because me causing trouble, it now supports millions of assets with no problem. It supports most media types, including most video files, audio files, and stills, including PDFs. It's multi-level user security, not only on the user level, but on the file level, I should say folder and volume level, in terms of what users can do and what they can access and all the controls that you'd want, regardless of whether you have 2 users or 200. And it has custom metadata fields. Now, we can enter custom data in an existing field in all of the NLEs, but we can't create our own fields. With Axle, we can create our own custom metadata fields to do whatever we need it to do. It has powerful search capabilities, supports all leading NLEs, and it can export or share clips or subclips, meaning a portion of a clip, using XML. It can quickly round-trip files with clients, including adding comments and markers. Supports local or remote servers, and a cloud option is available. Finally, you can control precisely what media it tracks. It doesn't just simply share the whole hard disk, it shares whatever you need to be shared. So let me show you the interface, how to search and view media, how to add metadata, how to view, mark, and subclip video files, how to add and upload media, how to transfer video into Premiere, Final Cut, or Resolve, and how to create users, asset catalogs, which is collections of media, and custom metadata. Let's take a look at how Axle works. When you first start Axle, this is what the interface looks like. It's very clean, it's very simple. On the left-hand side are the different volumes that are storing media. I have 2, Axle data and videos from NAB 2024. This data is stored locally on Axle, and this is stored remotely on a server which Axle is connected to. Then I've got the viewing area here in the center and an information panel. Think of it as like properties in Premiere or the video inspector inside Final Cut. On the right. Search panel is up here. At its very simplest, we can find stuff by double-clicking on a folder. I have, something on fall and winter. Let's open up fall. And there are the images that I can look at. Notice they're large thumbnails, easy to see. And I want to take a look at this one. Just double-click on it. It opens up a very large preview. I can skip between the images by clicking the left and right arrows and quickly browse through to find a shot that I like. That's pretty. And I've got this breadcrumb trail up here. If I want to go back to where I was, click on any part of the bread trail and I can get there. What have I? Oh, I got a Chinese rhinoceros. Double-click the rhinoceros and hit the space bar. And now I'm playing the video through Axle without really caring about where that video is stored. Axle handles all of that. And we can obviously leave comments and create subclips. I'll be doing that later throughout today's presentation. So at its simplest, we can navigate and see pictures, look at previews, watch video inside Axle, but that doesn't begin to tap its power. Let's go back here. This time, I want to do some searching by clicking on metadata. So let's search on, let's look for winter shots. Oh, look at all those. A lovely shot of winter, dawn and winter. Except I don't want just winter. I want to have winter with a river in the shot. And I have 3 shots. Then I want to have winter shots that have a river that have been approved by the client. And I have exactly 1. And there it is. By being able to add metadata, we can start to refine searches from thousands of clips down to exactly the one that we want. Now, although this is running on an M4 Mac Mini, I only have about 200 assets that this is tracking right now, not a ton. I have other databases which are tracking 80,000, which I'll use a little bit later in the presentation. I want to go back, let's go back to search results. I want to see all of the winter shots that have a river in it, which are not, notice the minus sign, not approved. Oh, look at that. This is not approved. Lovely, of course. And that one's not approved. Well, it's not as nice a shot. This one's kind of nice, though. Wouldn't it be nice if I could change the approval status of a picture? Hey, I really like that. Let's use that again. That's what this little circle over here is. When you click it, I can show that that image is approved or being reviewed or nobody likes it. So I'm going to approve this. And now when I go back to search results, I've only got 1 image which is not approved, and I have 2 images which are approved. This ability to use keywords, both existing keywords that are built into Axle or metadata which you yourself have added, start to really harness the power of what we can do inside Axle. I'm doing a video for TikTok, and I need to know where all my vertical video is. Well, see this icon right here. If you click on it, I want to find all the clips that I have that are vertical. Now, this is a checkbox that I added. When I click search, these are all of my vertical video shots. I was fascinated by those elephants. I had a great time staring at them, and they didn't eat me. I was very, very grateful. Well, where does that custom metadata come from? Well, with this clip, notice that over here, the information panel opens up. I see all of the automatically entered metadata here. File name, the date it was changed, file size, frame rate, duration, time code, etc., and the ability to change the approval and the file path. Below it is the custom data. I've entered a name field, so I click edit, and I'll say elephant. How do you spell elephants? Elephants eating. And then a description. This is at the Patera Elephant Farm, which is really a reserve. They don't grow elephants there. And it's a vertical clip, and it doesn't have clouds or river or sun. So I click OK. And now when I go back to here, let's just prove something. Well, let's search for the word farm. All that metadata is instantly accessible. So whatever I enter data in custom metadata or metadata that already exists, it's all searchable. Let's go over here. Here I have videos. These videos were shot at NAB show in April last year, and I put them all together. And these are playing off a server, which is connected to the Axle server, which is connected to me. The reason this is important is if I have multiple users that are on the same local area network, files which are on a server and accessible to all those users become very, very easy to transfer from Axle into my NLE. Now, we can do it with a download, but it's even faster if I can directly link. We'll illustrate all of that in just a minute. So notice that as I hover over here, I can quickly skim what the file looks like, double-click a file to open it up, and I can drag through and see what my file looks like. I can add comments, and I can create subclips. A subclip is a portion of a clip which is not necessarily relevant inside Axle, but really relevant when I move the clip into an NLE like Premiere. We go back here. Let's say I want to add a comment. Here. Double-click it. I'm going to add a comment. Notice the comment is highlighted. I really like the content of this discussion. And click Post. And now, after a few seconds, that comment, which is keyed to the frame that the playhead is on where you entered the comment, is now down here. Excellent remarks. Very clear and timely. And add a comment and click Post. And notice now that blue mark indicates where that comment is. This blue mark indicates where this comment is. And let's do, perhaps I don't necessarily agree. And click Post. And now I've got 3 comments with a marker indicating where the comment is reflected. This Axle database is on a 2018 Mac Mini. It manages about 85,000 assets. Documents like PDFs, TIFFs that are scanned from old documents, photographs, videos, audio, whatever I could find is thrown in here. I want to look specifically for some historical footages from 1909. And when I type in 1909, I have a folder of some folks from my wife's family. I'll just double click. I like this. This is young people in 1919 were wearing to go for a walk in the Adirondacks. First, I love the hats. I love the guy's pipe. Oh, these 2 women are camp counselors, 1909, at a camp in upstate New York. But I love the fact they've got heavy woolen outfits on, and it's the summer. Stylish fashion, 120 years ago. The reason I point this out is notice that although I've got 80,000 assets and I'm accessing it remotely, the performance is quite good. And if I went to look for video, I want to find not everything, but I just want to find video only. Look at that. Found a train video, and I can skim it. I know it takes too long for the train to appear. We'll just ignore that. Oh, I know what we could do. Let's search for Pulp Fiction. Gladden the heart of all of us that like Pulp Fiction from the 1940s. Look over here. These are all the custom metadata fields that I've created. I can add a title. I can add a favorite rating. This is a favorite picture. Rate it from 1 to 5. List who the photographer is. This is stuff I've created, including 2 extensive tag clouds, a category of the image and the family that it belongs to. If I go back to here, let's just search for favorite. Okay, now that gives me everything the word favorite appears in. It's doing a text search. I want to find something where only the metadata tag is checked. So I'm going to go up to the downward pointing triangle, pick the metadata that I want to use from all the metadata that's possible, pick favorite, and check the checkbox, and click search. And now 2 favorite images show up, and this is one of them, 1904, a bathing beauty somewhere, someplace. We have no idea who she is, but how can you not love that picture? Well, I've talked about the fact that we can add custom metadata, but how is that done? Let's go back here, and you see this icon. This allows us to go to the administrator pages. This is where we set up users, and right now I have 2. With me, I'm able to specify what volumes I have access to, what I can do with those volumes. I can see previews, download or upload files, change metadata, basically do whatever I want. And this also gives me additional controls over what I can or cannot do. For instance, with other people in my family, I don't allow them to do file management or editing the files, but they can change the metadata and they can upload or download files. I can also specify which catalogs I want to work with. Here I have a catalog, a collection of assets, which is stored directly on the Axle server, another which is on a network volume called projects, another set which is on a network volume called shared assets. This has got about 200 assets. This has got about 100 assets. This has got about 8,000 assets. So I can control what catalogs Axle is accessing and then what user has access to that catalog. For instance, Amir can only see Axle data, or I can see Axle data and the NAB 2024. So that's catalogs. Then under data fields, this is where I can add my own data. Here I have a category, which is clouds, river, sun, description, a name, whether the image is vertical or not, and I can choose from short text, a checkbox, on or off, a date field, a radio button, a drop-down menu, a large amount of text, which is 10,000 letters, 10,000 characters, and a tag cloud, which is essentially multiple answer. So I can have as many metadata fields as I want with all these different structures, and I can set the order in which they appear in the database itself. So control over users, control over media, and control over the custom metadata. When we're done, we'll just exit the administration. Going back to the family server, just to show you how that's set up. More servers, more users, and a whole lot more with custom metadata. A media asset manager is only valuable if you can get files into it, get files out of it, and find the files that are there. We've seen that it's easy for us to find files either by just doing a very fast text search on anything stored in any field, custom or native. We've seen that we can create our own custom metadata and have checkboxes and stuff like that. But how do I get stuff in and get stuff out? Well, I can upload files, and the short answer is files are uploaded to whatever folder is active. So I'm inside seasonal photos. And I'm going to go to the gear menu, and I'm going to create a new folder, and it's called flowers. And we'll create a folder. Once that folder is created, what it's actually doing is it's creating a folder on the storage itself, wherever these files are stored. Axle is referencing it, but there's nothing stored inside Axle. It's only used as a pointer to wherever those files are. I'm going to open the files folder. Well, there's 3 files there already. Let's import a couple of others. So we'll go up to here and we'll upload. And let's do Mountain Laurel and Caliente and Lupin. It now loads references of those files, but more importantly, it creates a preview of those files. And we can monitor that preview being created down here under stills, is that we can see the files are being previewed. Now, what it's doing is that Axle is creating a small proxy file. That proxy file, which is a JPEG for stills, and it's I think H.224, something 264, something tiny, so that it can be downloaded across the web without affecting the original file, because the original file could be gigabytes. We want to have something much smaller. And we can see that I've got my video here, and I've got the files that I've imported. I was talking to one of the guys at Axle yesterday as I was reviewing my presentation, and he manages an international demo file, which I'll show you in just a minute. And they use that to allow customers to play with Axle before they decide to buy or not. And he loaned it to an Australian, provided a link, a folder to an Australian broadcaster who uploaded 3,000 historical news files to see if the system could handle it. Not only could it handle it, they've now got 7 terabytes of data stored on that demo file. But it's easy. You just simply select the folder in which you want to put the upload, and then go to the gear icon, say upload, and upload one or more files to get whatever you need inside your project. I'm doing a travel video, and I want to send it to the travel agency to review this incredibly brilliant travel demo that I've created. So with the clip shown, I'll go up to the gear menu and, go up to the three-dot menu and choose Share. Notice now this has a completely valid web address. I'm going to copy this. If I had SMPT enabled, I could email directly out of here, but I don't. So we'll just pretend that I've sent myself an email and I've clicked on the link. If I paste that link in here, this is now at the customer site. The customer is now able to look at this video and to say, yeah, I like this. Let's hit the space bar and play it. The customer's playing the video, should be able to play the video, can play the video, and says, let's go down here. I want to add a comment. This takes too long to see the train. And notice where my playhead is. It's not at the beginning. It's right there. When I click post, notice that it now takes that comment, shows where the comment is, and then can we enhance the resolution of this image? And we'll post that. Now remember, this is done at the client site. So I'll close this and go back to Axle. And after about another minute, after it percolates through the whole percolation process, the comments will show up here flagged to the frame at which the comment was made. So let's go back to search results. Where'd it go? Oh, I forgot which one I used. There we go. This takes too long for the train to appear. The reason this is important is if we were using Frame.io, one, we'd have to pay every month for Frame.io, and two, it works great for Premiere, but may not work for Resolve or for Final Cut. Wouldn't it be nice to have your own client review software, which doesn't require a subscription and is available for any of the clips that you want, and you can send different media to different clients? It keeps it all straight. This is on a local area network, does not have access to the web, which is not accessible anywhere outside this local area network. I've got a team of editors. I've got an assistant editor and maybe two different editors working together, and I want to be able to send files. I'm the librarian. I want to send files or selects to the different NLEs. So I've created 3 bins, one for Final Cut, one for Premiere, and one for Resolve. You can name bins anything. They don't have to be for a specific NLE. You can have more than 3. I'll show you an example where there's about 150. I just labeled them this way to keep it simple. I want to send this clip, notice the blue rectangle, and this clip by holding Command down, and this clip. So I've got 3 clips, and I'm going to send them to the Final Cut bin. Cool. I go to the Final Cut bin, and we'll select all, and send Final Cut 10. It creates an XML file, which is then stored to the download folder, which can be emailed to anybody else in my local area network. It's here in the downloads folder, send to Final Cut. So let's go to Final Cut. File, import, XML, and there's our Final Cut. Import it, and that quickly, it creates a new event, loads the clips, and the clips are now easily playable. I can edit them just like any other media, and edit just like any other media. What I did is I used Axle for the selection process and then dropped the clips down to Final Cut. Well, how about Resolve? Well, let's go back to Axle and notice the Resolve folder is empty. Why NAB 2024? Because that's on a server which both the Axle server and I have access to. I'll show you an example when we don't in a minute. I want to send this file and this file and this file and this file, 4 files, and we're going to send those to Resolve. We'll go to the Resolve bin, select all, and and we'll send it using Final Cut 7 because Resolve uses the same protocol. We'll go to Resolve. This time I'm going to open up Downloads and just drag the XML and drop it in a media pool. And there's my files right there. Again, because I'm on the same server, like any small work group in an editorial office, I can drop the files just using an XML, which is a tiny, tiny piece of data. It can be emailed from one editor to the next. Let's go back to Axle. And this time we'll go to Premiere, and there's some new features that we've got with Premiere. Notice it's empty. I'll go back to NAB, and this time I'll take this clip right here, and I'm going to double-click it to open it up, and I'm going to set an in, the letter I, and set an out, the letter O, and now I've created what's called a subclip. And this is going to be aperture quote. And I'm going to create a subclip and send it to Premiere. Click that. And now inside the Premiere folder, the green stripe indicates the portion of the clip that I selected. And the rest of it is the rest of the clip, which I am not selecting. Let's go back to here. We'll send this whole clip because why not? And we'll go down to, oh, Michael Cioni. How could we not include a Michael Cioni clip? And we'll set this, set an in, and set an out. And we'll do a subclip, and we'll call it a Cioni quote. And create a subclip and send it to Premiere. And now we'll send it to Premiere. Nope, we're going to open up the bin, do it right, select the all, and send it to Premiere. Much gooder. Now go to Premiere, open Downloads, and I'll just drag this in. There. And there's my clips. And notice with Cioni, it only imports just the end of the out. Here it imports the entire clip. Here it just imports from the end of the out. An hour recording, but you only need 10 seconds. You just have to send the 10 seconds across that you want. But there's something even cooler with Premiere, and that is that we have an extension for Premiere. Again, there's the Axle data. There's our travel video. Oh, there's our China pandas or elephants or NAB. I want to go back. These images here, the photos, are stored on the Axle server. They're not on a server that's shared. They're only on Axle by itself. So I want to, let's say I want to download this one, and this one, and this one. Notice I'm selecting what I want to download. I can still search. I mean, all the search is still there. Everything is, let's just prove that. Winter, search for winter. And then search for river, good, and then search for approved. All the search that I've done inside Axle still works exactly the same way. I want to download these shots, click import, and now what it does is it downloads the file to a location you specify. It could be anywhere you want, on your local hard disk or wherever. It downloads the files, and now here they are. So if I'm on a shared server, I just simply send a link via XML. Or I can download and store at the location that I want. I still get access to the media, whether I'm sharing a network or not. I could be a remote editor, and I'm downloading proxy files from a remote Axle server. Still have the security of storing the media locally, still not putting it on the cloud, but editors outside of my local area network can still access the media they need for their edit. We've seen a very simple Axle setup, 200 assets, a medium Axle setup, 80,000 assets, but this is a demo which is right now is in London. And notice even though it's in London, I still have instantaneous response of being able to see these pictures. Let's just look at this one. Footage was shot by Neil Blake when he had some spare time in Amsterdam. And look at what he's got for metadata, detail, colors, transport. I mean, as much metadata as you want. Now, some of it's garbage metadata because this is a demo, but nonetheless. But look at this. Under client media, look at all the different folders. We're not just talking 3 or 4 or 20 or 30. We're talking multiple hundreds. And if we go up to the admin, just to show you it's possible, look at how many users, not 5 or 10 users, dozens and dozens and dozens of users. Or here, under catalogs, data fields, look at this. Axle starts small, 2 users, but can grow to be gigantic. So it's a system which can grow with you as your business grows, or it can be as contained as you want for something small. This ability to find the needle in the haystack without even being able to define what the haystack is, you just know that somewhere in there is a needle, is what I think makes Axle really exciting to work with. Questions? Let's take a look at what I can answer for you. Richard asks, with only 2 users, how do you give access to your multiple family members? Well, I have 5 users, but the answer is the same whether I have 2 or 5. Everybody except 4 people shares the same login. Axle doesn't care that it's coming from different IP addresses. It doesn't do an IP check. It just tests based on the login. So I have guest access for people that are just sort of tuning in every month or two to see what's new. And they all log in on the same login. So you can, with 2 users, you could, if you have yourself and clients, you want to use this for clients, you can have a client log in and share that with all of your clients. But the problem is that you would not be able to say client A can only see client A work and client B can only see client B work. So the other thing you could do, because you could change this, let's say that you have 3 active clients at a time, and I'm just inventing, but a smaller number. You could get Axle with, say, 3 clients or 4 clients, and as your client becomes active, you just change the login for that particular client so they can just see their stuff. The reviews, when you share that, remember how I shared the train and it went out to that, they don't need any login at all. Sharing can go to as many people as you need. None of them log into Axle. None of them need access. It's all done outside of the Axle secure environment. Axle can do automatic speech-to-text transcription, can do scene detection, can do face detection, can do logo detection. All of that can be built in when you add the AI section to Axle. For me, personally, I don't use that. I would like to at some point, but I don't use that yet. But you can get that should you need it. Daniels asks, how long does it take for Axle to build the AI database of an existing catalog of video, or does that happen with each individual search like your Mountain Sunset? The AI is built at 3 to 4 times real time. So if I have a 1-hour clip and I'm building the database, which happens in the background, not while I'm logged in, a 1-hour clip would take about 15 minutes to do all the AI text transcription and scene detection, face detection, logo detection. 3 to 4 times is what I've been told. When it's building the search, it's simply querying its database to say, which of these do I hit on? And it takes about 15 or 20 seconds to build. When I typed in Mountain Sunset or car fire or plane landing, when I've got something where it is doing a bunch of criteria, it takes about 20 seconds to build that. Now, remember, that's being built on a Mac Mini, which is in London. So I've got a little bit of transatlantic travel time, and I don't know whether it's an M4 Mac or just a Mac Mini. But that giant thing that I showed you at the very end is running off a Mac Mini as the Axle server. The actual database itself is 6 terabytes of data, which is attached to the Axle server. It remains true that if you can't find it, you don't have it. As we shoot more and more media and as archives extend back decades, finding what we've got quickly and easily is vital. There are a variety of MAMs available. Personally, I like Axle, but there are many others to choose from. The key is to know what you need and how you'll most likely use it. Then, ask good questions before you buy. And explaining media asset management and showing how Axle works is what today's webinar is all about. My name is Larry Jordan. Thanks for watching.